It's the last Monday of June and you're tuned in. Sorry. It means I'm the one that wrote it. It's the last Monday of May. I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to do fast forward for you, Emma Bino. It's the last Monday of May and you're tuned into Jasiri, the table where bold meets necessary. We're entering into that month that takes us into the half of the year. But of course, it means the stories, the struggles, and the conversations that shape our nation are not over. They're very far from over. And today, we're pausing to reflect, to question, and to push forward. Because here on Jasiri, we don't just move with the news, we move with purpose. And as always, we're just getting started. Now, our darling Lolo is on vacation. I know she's watching us wherever she is. And it's a much-deserved one, so you won't see her for a few weeks. But joining us as our guest co-host is the intelligent and beautiful Hot Topic special guest we had a few weeks ago. Please welcome Lois Oguniyi back to the Jasiri table. Not as a guest now, but as our special co-host.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome back to the show.
I gave her anxiety. She was waiting. I said, it's okay, don't worry. I
don't worry. You'll be okay. You're natural.
Yes, you are. Let's get into it. And Lois, we need everyone to get to know you just a little bit more.
Yep.
I hope you're ready for this.
Yes.
Because you cheated and saw the script.
Hey, yeah, that
I should have taken it off the script and just sent it to you.
Yes, that was 70. But are you ready, seriously?
Yes, I think so.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Off the cuff. First off, guys, we want to ask, Lois is in the hot seat. She's going to be answering some questions. So let's just start. All right, so where were you born?
Ondo State.
Where in Ondo State?
Akure.
How many siblings?
4.
Are you the firstborn and lastborn?
Last girl.
Lastborn's in the house. I know I like this girl for
Only girl.
reason. My
Last boy
is okay.
Only girl.
Only girl.
And 4 dogs.
Okay, what did you study?
Computer science.
How did you end up in media or journalism?
I said by accident, but I've been enjoying it.
What's the accident?
I stumbled onto it. I thought I was coming for producing, but journalism sunk me in.
That's the thing.
Really?
It sinks all. Accidents. And then it doesn't let you
science
go.
with journalism.
Almost 20 years later, I'm still here. Do you have a boyfriend?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Because when you came last time, my phone was full of questions. I was told tab. Excuse me, please. Inquiring minds want to know. Do you have a boyfriend?
Hey, I don't.
Are you dating?
No, not right now.
What's the problem?
Hold on. You know there's a flip side to that question.
Okay.
Is there someone that thinks they're dating you?
Maybe.
Wahala.
What was your birthday?
January 18th.
Oh, I know somebody that's...
January 18th. I mean.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't know.
I don't know who was born. No, I don't know.
I know somebody who was born either 8 or 18.
18th.
So what are you looking for?
In a man.
Inquiring minds want to know. I'm trying to help my brothers out there.
Tall, dark, intelligent, money.
Okay.
I like her honesty.
So what's the first thing that attracts you to... This is not how we plan to start Monday.
It's okay. We have things to do, but we need them to know her.
So what's the first thing that attracts me in a guy? I think when he doesn't have interest, that's first.
Oh, she likes a challenge.
You do like a challenge.
Yeah.
Why are you not born in November? That's a Scorpio.
I know, right? But Capricorns also have theirs. They have their
Do you
own.
believe in marriage?
Yeah.
Okay, because you people's generation, I need to start asking this question every once in a while.
Okay, so are you looking to have kids?
Yes.
How many kids?
2.
Okay. And if kids don't come, are you open to adopting?
Yeah, I think birthing 2, adoption, maybe another 2.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, final question. So, what are you looking forward to in the next few weeks as you sit in for Lolo and Jasiri?
In the next few weeks, I think you guys should look forward to, in-depth analysis of what's going on in Nigeria. I mean, with the experience on this
What are you, we know what they see. What are you looking forward to?
What am I looking for? I'm here to have fun. I'm here to, yes, have fun, do what we have to do.
Okay.
And venture opportunities. I like it.
Yes.
I know Blessings is very happy this is not her. She had her moment. Blessings would love to be here, but what we like to say is village people are reigning right now.
I know,
so Blessings, we love you, we miss you, we'll see you soon. So ladies, before we move to our main conversation, we need to give an update on the UTME saga. The resit exam has happened for the 370 plus candidates that JAMB said were affected. And it seems there was light at the end of this tunnel. Now, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has released the 2025 UTME results, marking the highest performance since 2017. Out of 1.93 million candidates, 17,025 scored 300 and above, representing 0.88%, a notable increase from previous years, still too small in my estimation. Additionally, 117,373 candidates scored between 250 and 299, while 565,988 scored between 200 and 249. This uptick reflects a significant improvement in overall performance. Alex Onyia, the CEO of Educare, who was on the show last week to talk about this year's JAMB, took to his X handle to share some excellent results some of the candidates have shared with him. He also posted, "It is now clearly obvious that this is the best JAMB result since 2017. That's since the last 9 years. From the worst result a few weeks ago to the best few weeks later. I saw it, I knew it, and I was right." Am I the only one who has a question or two?
No, you're not the only one.
Okay.
Seriously. You're not the only one because one of my children's tutors had sent me a message and said, "Oh, my students are killing it in JAMB." And there were 297, there was 299, and there was 300. And I laughed. And I'm saying, the first thing that came to my mind was that, is JAMB overcompensating? Are you allowing the kids pass because you want to restore integrity to your name, or you just to the board, or to the... So I don't know. And then what's the yardstick? Why are they suddenly passing now and doing so well, better than, I mean, compared to 2017? And so what was that humongous thing that was a problem 3 weeks ago when they were writing JAMB, or let's say a month ago, to play it safe? So for me, the first thing that comes to mind, overcompensation.
Maybe not really. Maybe they've seen the questions when they searched for it the first time, and now that they're taking it, they could correct some of the things they've done.
But would JAMB give the same questions? Because I know there's a conversation around even the modalities of the receipts exam itself and how quickly it came about.
And then there were incomplete questions. I mean, like I said, I engage with the tutors of my youngest, who's writing JAMB next year. But he was telling me that some of the students, the feedback was that some of the questions were incomplete. Some questions were tough, didn't make sense. It's almost as if it was rushed. And then suddenly they are breaking new records and saying that, okay, this is the best result JAMB has ever recorded since 2017. So that's why I'm asking the question, what gives? You now say we should mark them down, or let's just reduce the hand in marking, or I don't understand. Even when I know that it's a CBT, so it's not a human being just marking it, but I don't know, it seems too good to be true, Sha.
I think that's what's doing me, particularly understanding the Nigerian situation. Now, there was a conversation around, I think, some people who's allegedly hacked as well into the JAMB. So everybody replied, because Alex said he spoke to the JAMB officials, and they said that the hacking is a separate issue. So it wasn't pertaining to the scores. But when you go from, as he said, the worst scores in almost a decade to the best scores in almost a decade.
I would like to ask Lola what Rolasini got, because they were in the 100 and 100, and then imagine from a 100 and the boy would score like 300 and 300. How does that work?
The leap is
and then how about the students who weren't recalled back to receipt? Also.
Because, I made that point, 370-something plus, but it was around 1.5 million that fell below 200. And it feels like we're missing out on that 1.1 something, 1.2 something, and they just remain at 200, or these best scores are the best. I'm confused. I need clarity on this. So it's either, it's like we're going to reach out to Alice with some more clarity. Exactly. Yes, you wanted to say something?
No, I think, yes, JAMB needs to, they didn't really fully acknowledge, fully tell us how, these people that research the exam, how they were chosen, and the percentage increase, does raise an eyebrow.
Sits for the exams.
Yes, it does raise an eyebrow.
It's a lot. We're happy for those because I think no one's really going to query these ones now because people are happy, but it doesn't take away the fact that there are questions to be answered.
So what happens to universities who reduced their cutoff marks to accommodate students who wrote the JAMB the first time? Because that's not everyone who sat the exam. Not everybody. So what happens to the others who probably with a 195 or with 180 something, they felt, there's really no need to receipt again. Because some people would have chosen not to receipt just because, oh, I beg, I don't want to take the chance and score lower. So what then happens? Because universities now said, okay, I was reading an article, said universities now are opening their admission processes from 140.
Yeah. Okay, so I have two things on that. One, we forgot to ask about the exceptional underage students. You see? So did they get an opportunity to receipt? Would their scores have been better than what we were told? The scores were one. Then two, this reduction of cutoff, I'm sorry, it does not serve Nigeria's purposes in the long run. One, we need to come to terms and understand university is not for everyone, but we also need to set a standard. But what we keep doing is we keep lowering our bar, not necessarily in this situation now, but it's happened before. We keep lowering our bar of admission. Then we wonder the type of students who go through university, who come into the workforce, and then want to get jobs.
And then you see employers of labor are stranded, they're frustrated because you can't employ this. I tell Tulu all the time, I say, girl, yo, you should call me to sit in. I won't say what I just need to listen.
You'll blow. You won't manage it.
The people she interviews on a daily basis.
You will not manage it.
Interview you can't find. Because even self-expression, tell me about something, they say 2 sentences and that's it.
But you've done interviews in her other day job. You've done some. What's your experience?
With sorry, I wanted to quickly chip in on the security issue JAMB is currently having. This is becoming recurrent. Yes, they've announced that the people that hacked into them have been arrested. But what is the security system in the ICT department? It is the reason why we are in this mess in the first place. Like I mentioned earlier, some weeks ago, it was the case of doctoring results done by 18-year-olds. So they need to fix their security system, and maybe the person to hold accountable is the head of ICT in JAMB.
Yeah. Okay, so interviews very quickly. What's been your experience in interviewing people?
Ooh, I think
Guys,
I think it's mostly the overconfident ones that now come and say rubbish at the end of the day. They're like, do you know who I am? I'm the and you're like, okay, so what's going on in your department? And you're like, so I can't take this right now.
They've been giving you my mental health too. On that note, let's just leave it. Let's just leave it.
Yep.
Employers, we're coming for you guys one of these days. Now, on a serious note, a TikTok post, 1 or 2, a teenage girl, and a case that has taken a disturbing turn. Up next on Jasiri, we dive into the story of Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif, a case that raises urgent questions about power, fear, and what it really means to speak freely in Nigeria. Isa Sanusi, Country Director, Amnesty International Nigeria, joins us after the break. Stay with us.
Join today's conversation via social media. We are at News Central TV. Today we return to a story we first shone a spotlight on in November last year. Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif was a name many Nigerians were not familiar with, but she made headlines after the Sokoto state government accused her of insulting or using abusive language and of inciting disturbance. The state's statement came after a now deleted TikTok video where the teenager urged internally displaced persons in Sokoto to march to the governor's office in protest. On the 13th of November, Sidi was arrested by armed men while on her way to collect her phone from a charging point. She was reportedly whisked into a tricycle, beaten and thrown from the moving vehicle, sustaining injuries from the attack. Now, following her arrest, she issued an apology to the state government and retracted her call for the IDPs to protest at the governor's office. She was initially charged to court in February, but her trial was adjourned by Chief Magistrate Umar to the 13th of March and 14th of March 2025, and later postponed again to the 21st of May. But this story has taken a darker, a more troubling turn when it was reported last week that Sidi is missing. Isa Sanusi, Country Director of Amnesty International, joins us now to once again shine the spotlight on Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif. Mr. Sanusi, thank you so much for joining us again here on Jasiri. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, so Mr. Sanusi, let's go straight into it. There are a lot of developments in Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif's case. We first had you on the show in November last year. Can you briefly take us through what has happened since we last spoke on the show and up to the day she went missing?
Yes, so since that the last time we spoke, the case continued. It has been progressing effectively, and she has been going to court with her lawyers and in Sokoto. And but something strange happened on 20 of this month. A day to her trial, she went to the market. She normally cooked food for her lawyers whenever they come to town. So she went to buy food stuff to cook food for her lawyers for the next day's court sitting. And she left home around 10 a.m. And while going out, she couldn't go with her phone because there was no light the previous night, and the phone is dead. So therefore, she went to the market to buy food stuff. Unfortunately, nothing was heard from her until and up to the midnight of that night. Later on, efforts were made to find out where she is, and it was discovered that she was abducted by some people. When she was abducted, according to what she told us, was that first of all, they just she was in a tricycle. Then some people joined, and pretended to be customers also, also commuting. So along the way, they started asking her questions, and they said that she is the bag, the polythene bag she is carrying, they said contains some drugs. She said, "No, I have nothing to do with drugs," and they drugged her, and that was the last day she remembered. And she found herself in a hospital in faraway Zamfara State, and that was what happened. Later on, she told everyone that was there that they abducted her, drugged her, injected her, took her to a bush and handed her over to bandits. And then later on, she escaped. And when she escaped, a man in his farm took her and another woman to hospital. And after that, after the hospital, she was taken to the Zamfara State Police Command, who later on handed her over to her family. She is now receiving medical treatment. So this is, in summary, what happened.
All right, so just to reiterate for those who are picking up on it, the latest developments in Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff's case are very troubling. And as you said, there now seem to be more people involved. So the case was adjourned on May 21st, as we stated earlier. But a day before her court appearance, her lawyer revealed she was missing after she left home to buy foodstuff. He came back and said she was then found, or she was in the Bakura General Hospital in Zamfara State. So from Sokoto State, stepping out of her house to buy foodstuff to cook, the next thing that people are aware of is that she's found in a hospital in Zamfara State. And a lot of people will be asking for this to make sense, to make it make sense so that we can understand the ramifications of all the things going on. But we have another question coming up for you now.
Yes, Mr. Sanusi, on Friday, Amnesty said that the Zamfara State Commissioner of Police was taking her into custody. The State Commissioner reportedly told the Guardian newspaper that we are not holding her, we had a press conference, that they had a press conference with her yesterday. I don't know how the press briefing did not circulate, but I want to hear a confession from her own mouth, which is what they actually said. But let me ask you this, where is Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif now? Where would you say she is right now, Mr. Sanusi?
She is in Abuja, and she has been receiving, because I spoke with her yesterday, so she's undergoing some medical tests. As I told you, she was injected with some unknown substances when she was abducted, and the trauma she went through and the pain of being in the custody of bandits is not easy to bear. So she is now receiving medical treatment in Abuja.
Wow.
All right, Mr. Sanusi, so the Zamfara State Police Commissioner is quoted as saying she confessed. Confessed to what exactly? I mean, if she already has a court appearance, which was scheduled for the 21st of May, what would a confession without her lawyer's presence mean in this case?
Well, I didn't read all of the statement by the Zamfara State Commissioner. I think Commissioner of Police, and I believe that they wanted to do something sinister because we received a report that she was, the Commissioner of Police in Sokoto State asked the Commissioner of Police in Zamfara State to hand her over. And we have to resist that. We have to say that it is not possible. We are not going to take it. And they wanted actually to keep her in custody, detain her, and take her back to Sokoto to her tormentors. So whatever the police in Zamfara State said is completely unacceptable and unlawful, because there is no way you can. They just arranged a very fake press conference and made her to speak. And we don't know whether whatever she said there is something that came directly out of her mind or a script that the police have given her. And the fact that the police are making her to sit before journalists, despite what she went through, is so unfortunate. I think the police in Zamfara should be ashamed of themselves. And this is a matter also we are going to take up later, because somebody who just came out of this kind of situation deserved privacy, deserved protection, and should not be put in front of cameras and journalists to answer questions. It's really unfortunate, and it shows how incompetent, how irresponsible the police in Nigeria can be.
So in this situation, because this is not the first time there's been some kind of statement or confession from Hamdiyya, and I remember in the initial case, the police came back out to say, yes, that it was taken without her representatives. And we're talking about a teenager. Mrs. Sanusi, please clarify again, how old is Hamdiyya?
Hamdiyya is 19 or 18, I'm not sure, but she's still a teenager actually. And we all know that, you know, she deserved some protection, and definitely the police shouldn't have treated her the way they treated her. And even apart from her age, we also have to consider the fact that this girl has been going through a lot of hell.
Yes.
In the sense that she has been receiving anonymous threats. You know, her family has been receiving anonymous threats and many things. Therefore, it's quite unacceptable that a whole government, you know, or a whole state government is putting on this thing is being done. Number one, to traumatize her, to punish her, to instill fear in people in Sokoto so that they will not be able to.
All right, it looks like some technical issues there, but you can see the timeline of Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff's case. We took this story when it first broke in November. This was because of a series of TikToks. She had gone to meet IDPs in camps in Sokoto State, asking for them to basically take over government properties, that government wasn't doing enough to help them go back to their homes or even to protect them from the bandits. Then she was arrested for abusive language and inciting disturbance, saying that it was claimed that she was trying to disparage the person of the governor and trying to bring down the things the governor had been done. She was abducted, beaten, thrown inside a tricycle, then rearrested and charged in a Sharia court. She apologized publicly and retracted the statements, and we can understand just behind the scenes the amount of pressure and probably quote-unquote threats that she may have faced. Then the trial began, and the IPO did admit that the statement was taken without her legal counsel present. So I'm wondering again what Sokoto State police commissioner is saying about a confession and a press conference and a press briefing that her lawyers did not know about, that I've looked for it, I can't find it in newspapers, and it's just based on the word of the police commissioner for a confession. Confession to what? What is she confessing to, and what is she confessing to without her legal representatives present? If we continue looking at that timeline, things have just spiraled since then. She, of course, Amnesty International has been involved. The trial was eventually adjourned again. There were some false reports that she had gotten a 2-year sentence and flogging, but those were debunked. And then the case was meant to go back to court last week. She steps out. There hasn't been light. She leaves her phone at home. She steps out and she says, hey, I want to go and get some food stuff. I want to cook for you guys. As he said, she tends to cook for her lawyers. And then they can't find her. She doesn't come home, only for them to be told that she was rescued. There's also the narrative that she was rescued from kidnappers in Zamfara and found in the hospital. Now, at the end of the day, there was also reports that she was picked up from the hospital, that instead of getting her into, being able to get her into recovery and testing and seeing what was wrong, that she was still being held by the police at this point. I don't know if we have Mr. Sanusi back. All right, so we're going to take a quick break because we also need to look at how credible the narrative is that she was rescued from kidnappers. Mr. Sanusi is telling us that she herself escaped and then she was found by a farmer or someone. But we'll continue with this story. And then, of course, many more questions regarding the Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif case. Stay with us. And you're watching Jasiri on a Monday morning. We're looking at the case of Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff, and the Nigerian justice or criminal system reports that she disappeared, and now we're hearing that she was kidnapped and then taken from Sokoto to Zamfara, injected with some substances, assaulted, and then found in a in a hospital in Zamfara State. Our guest today is Isa Sanusi. He's the country director of Amnesty International Nigeria. Mr. Sanusi, I want to quickly ask, how credible is the narrative that she was rescued from kidnappers in Zamfara, especially considering her previous arrest and online criticism of the Sokoto governor, as well as the situations that have arisen in regards to how this case has played out? How credible do you find that story?
No, that is not true. That is not true at all. It's false and it's completely made up. We believe that she escaped actually from those kidnappers, and then she found herself through a farmer into town who took her to hospital and also reported to the police. So I believe that the police made up those stories to justify what they wanted to do initially, which is to take her back to Sokoto, where we believe that she will be subjected to a lot of atrocities in the hands of the police. That is why when we discovered that, we raised alarm and we said that we are not comfortable with her being in the custody of police. And it is so unfortunate that the police compelled her to do a press conference in that kind of situation, in that state of mental health, in that state of physical health. It's really unfortunate, and it says everything about how reckless the police in Nigeria are.
Yes, sir. We've seen, the growing use of security concerns to justify detaining critics in Nigeria. Like, how dangerous would you say this trend is, and what does it mean for accountability in democracy?
Well, we always believe that whenever there are security issues, politicians try to use them and the security agencies to clamp down on freedom of expression. We know a time when in this country the media is blamed for banditry because the media is reporting, and they are even saying that the media should turn down its coverage of these issues, and which shows total ignorance of what the work of the media is and what a responsible society is supposed to be doing in this kind of situations. We believe that the responsibility of the government is to address security issues, address them effectively and squarely so that every Nigerian will live safely wherever he is, whether he's in the village of Sokoto or in the village of Delta State. Everyone should live safely. Therefore, there is no excuse whatsoever. There is no any point trying to harass people. If there is insecurity, people have right to say there is insecurity, and no one had the power to stop people from saying exactly what is going on. So politicians tend to gloss over issues. They want to use cosmetic methods of addressing issues, making things to look good while they are not good. Therefore, that is why they always use that as an opportunity to suppress people who try to be outspoken, like Hamdiyya and others. We believe that this is unfortunate and quite against the international law and Nigerian constitution, which allow people to say what they want to say without any fear. And the people have the right, and they have the right to disagree with the government, no matter the situation and the issue.
So let's talk about gender, power, and public perception a bit, Mr. Sanusi. Now, some have dismissed Sharif's case as a failed attempt to bring down the governor. How do narratives like this reflect a broader pattern of particularly discrediting women who speak out? Because I think that there's no way we can't look at this also through a gendered lens. Someone might say that, no, these situations happen. Yes, they happen across board. There are a number of people who have gone missing, and to date, their families don't know where they are. But there's an intersection of gender, power, and public perception at play here. What do you think?
Yes, you are right. I agree with you. Especially here in the North, we know what the gender dynamics. We know how women are just expected not to be heard, not to be seen at all. We always know that whenever a woman speaks, it generates more attention than they usually. So if you look at the case of Hamdiyya, one of the things the Sokoto state government and its supporters are using against her is the fact that she is a girl, and is the fact that, you know, they are using her gender to criticize her. They are calling her names. In fact, they use so many things to show that she is not even mentally stable. And that also has a connection with their own perception of gender and a sense of gender discrimination that is widespread in this region. Therefore, Hamdiyya is going through what she is going through. One of the reasons is because of her gender. And another reason is because the gender dynamics come to play in the sense that when a woman says these kind of things, and she was saying those things in the company of other women who are displaced by these bandits. Therefore, the government is really scared because the most affected segment of the society in this conflict in northern Nigeria are women and girls. And therefore, that is why they are so bitter, they are so annoyed to the extent that they are using everything within their means, hiring people to carry out campaigns against Hamdiyya, you know, creating stories about her background and so many things. Therefore, we can never rule out this gender issue, and we believe that we have to all join hands to protect her, because just because she is a girl doesn't mean that she doesn't have a voice. We believe that she will serve as an example for other girls to be outspoken and not to be afraid of saying the right thing at the right time.
All right, Dr. Isa, before I continue with how gender plays into how critics like Hamdiyya are treated by the state, I'd like to circle back to Amnesty itself, and I'd like you to hear from Amnesty's perspectives. What are the key human rights violations in this case, if they're human rights? And then where did the Sokoto state government or the federal agencies, where did they fail?
Well, in the first place, there is gross violation of human rights here, because Hamdiyya is a human being. She has the right to criticize the governor of Sokoto state. She has the right to criticize the president of Nigeria. Therefore, no one can take away that right from her. It's part of her fundamental human rights to freedom of expression. The video she did is kind of an advocacy, and there was nowhere she called for violence. You know, she called for resistance to the neglect by the government, resistance to the reckless handling of the security situation in Sokoto state by both the state government and the federal government. We believe that fundamental right to freedom of expression is in danger in our own case, and it is the most frequently attacked kind of freedom in Nigeria. People are expected to just be silent, to be docile, and to be passive while suffering. You remember in August last year, people were killed because they came onto the streets to protest against hunger, against cruel economic policies of this government. And as a result of that, many people were jailed, many people were killed in Kano, in other places. Therefore, this right to freedom of expression is under attack, and is the right under which we are struggling, we are campaigning to protect Hamdiyya Sidi Sharif. And we believe that this is the right most frequently attacked by Nigerian politicians. Why they do it, we don't know, but it's really something that we all have to be vigilant, and we have to fight and protect.
Oh,
yeah.
So coming back to gender play, so let's look at how gender play, how does it affect critics like Hamdiyya as they're treated by the state and by the public? Would a male critic have faced the same consequences or framing even?
All right, I think we'll take a quick time out, some technical matters there, but this is a very important conversation because Hamdiyya is not just one person, she represents all of us, and when we come back, we'll try to find out what is next in this case, and then use the last 3 minutes of the show because we're heading into May 29th, which marks President Tinubu's 2 years in office, and we'd love to hear from the Amnesty International Nigeria country director, his assessment of President Tinubu's 2 years in office, as well as his human rights record. Stay with us.
Yes, welcome back, Mr. Sanusi, and thank you for joining us in this conversation today. Yes, but you've told us where she is, but what next? What does this mean for a trial? Does this stall the trial, and can she trust the legal system?
Well, we believe that as law-abiding citizens, and we believe that we respect the rule of law, and we believe that the case should continue no matter what, and we believe that the case will continue. I have spoken with her lawyers, and we believe that the case will continue. But we will have to get guarantees from the government that she is going to be protected, that she is going to be safe. Without that, it will be very difficult for her to stay in Sokoto and be going to court every now and then. That is our major concern. We believe that her life is now in danger. And unless adequate protection is given to her and her lawyers, remember that it's not only Hamdiyya that was threatened. Even her lawyer was threatened in January. And some talks tried to have some physical encounter with the lawyer and his colleagues in Sokoto. Therefore, they are all in danger, and we believe that the only way to address this problem is to make sure that we ensure that they are protected before the case continues. And I don't think we have confidence in the whole trial, because in the first place, even the charges against her are bogus, unacceptable, and are not acceptable in any normal society, because she did not, we believe that she did not commit any crime is worthy of being put on trial. And the way the trial has been going on is also suspicious, in the sense that we don't have confidence in the court itself. Therefore, but we believe that the lawyers will continue to go to the court, but we are going to also make that demand that she be given protection and guarantee of her safety.
All right, Mr. Sanusi, we'll continue to follow up with you on Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff's case in that regard. But I want us to quickly shift gears with the small time we have left. We're 2 years, almost 2 years now into President Bola Tinubu's administration. That will be clocked on May 29th. How would Amnesty International Nigeria assess the state of human rights in the country under his leadership? Has there been any significant progress, or do the violations continue just under a different name?
Well, we believe that nothing has changed. It's just that things take a different dimension. Hundreds of people, or I can say thousands of people, have been killed from May 29, 2023 to date. Over 300 villages have been sacked or taken over by bandits, just in Zamfara state alone. Not to talk of Kasina, not to talk of parts of Sokoto. Therefore, and you remember the August protest where 24 people were slaughtered on the streets of Kano and other places. So I don't think that there is any improvement as far as human rights is concerned. In fact, it's even getting worse, because under Tinubu's government, we witnessed a very escalating use of the Cyber Crimes Act to clamp down on journalists and media organizations. And that is really scary, because no society, no free society can say that is free without the media, without journalists. And I can list the number of journalists that have been either harassed or detained or forced to go under just because they have said something the government doesn't like, and the weapon used against them is the Cyber Crimes Act. And the economy in Nigeria is putting a lot of families into what I can describe clearly as a hell. People are living in a hell, actually, because millions of families could not afford the cost of food, healthcare, education, and many other vital things. And we believe that one of the fundamental human rights of the people is the right to just be alive and live your life. And unfortunately, the economy has been getting bad and worse, escalating inflation out of the roof inflation. Therefore, in general, I believe that things are only getting worse for the people. Only those in power are getting, are feeling that there is any progress. Anybody outside that circle will tell you that he is suffering. His life has been shattered by the escalating inflation, and people are living in fear because of escalating insecurity. Therefore, that is just my brief assessment of this government's stewardship so far.
Okay, so Doc, police brutality, unlawful detention and torture remain deeply rooted issues in Nigeria. Has Amnesty International seen any real reform or accountability efforts under Tinubu's government?
Gradually, we are witnessing the return of all those free NSAS protest atrocities. Over the last 2 years, we have recorded cases of extrajudicial execution by the police. We had one in Delta, we had one in Adamawa State, we had one in Lagos. The doctor, the lawyer who was killed, who was pregnant. So we have many cases that we have recorded, and we are going to unveil them on May 29. Police, even recently in Ibadan, they killed one WAEC candidate on his way with his parents to go and sit for the ongoing WAEC exams. 16-year-old. And they say it was a stray bullet. For how long are we going to be having these stray bullets killing innocent people? Therefore, police, even 3 days ago, we have issued a very short statement saying that police should treat carefully because they are gradually paving the way for another round of NSAS, because all those atrocities are coming back again and again and again. We know that SAS was disbanded completely, but SAS is coming back in another guise, and people are feeling the impact. The atrocities have not stopped. Torture, extortion, all these things are still going on. And we believe that the earlier the government address these things and the earlier police change their attitude, the better for the country, because people can no longer live with this thing as was done in the past.
Yes. What advice would you give President Tinubu for seriously improving Nigeria's human rights record? Are there any concrete steps you think this administration should take this next year?
Well, I believe that if I will have the opportunity to advise the president, I will tell him that he has to pay attention to human rights. First of all, the police have to be given a clear directive not to extort, not to harass, not to kill people with stray bullets, not to do anything using the Cyber Crimes Act to suppress journalists. And another thing is that the president cannot say that he is the president of a country if people, bandits and other criminals and Boko Haram will just go into a village and kill 100 people, and then the only thing the president will do is to issue a one-page media statement that is empty, no any concrete word inside this whole statement. The president should change things, because if the government cannot protect lives, I think the government will lose its legitimacy completely. Okay. Therefore, the president has to look at that. And the president also has to consider the fact that we have a lot of baggages of human rights violations from the past. And he has a responsibility to investigate that. The fact that the previous government had not investigated these things does not mean that he has no responsibility. He has responsibility to investigate. Like, the incidents in the Southeast, enforced disappearances, extrajudicial executions, and many other things in the Southeast that are still going on. So the president...
I apologize. My apologies for interrupting you. Because of time, we have to wrap up the conversation. But the points you're landing on, and given the fact that you said that Amnesty will be releasing a report, a benchmark report on the Tinubu administration on May 29th, means that we should be expecting to see you shortly after that to have this conversation in a deeper level. We're just touching on it based off of Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff's story. So we look forward to having you back in the coming week or so.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Apologies once again for interrupting you. It is because of time that we have to go, so we're heading out now. But we will tell you that we'll be going live to Abuja anytime from now. As the Abuja is hot right now, there are a number of lands that are now being revoked, and the Abuja team is out covering that situation live. So we'll be bringing it to you shortly. But of course, this is how we wrap things up. We'll continue to put the spotlight on Hamdiyya Sidi Sheriff's case, and for every Nigerian, because every Nigerian is as Nigerian as the next, and her story is every Nigerian story, or it could be. And that's where we end today. Have a good day.